Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if you're still watching, then you made a winning life choice right here, right there, because you're about to witness what could potentially be the coolest series of the entire day, with TheOne currently leading the overall ranking score, facing off CE, their eternal rivals, currently in third place. And I am not sure, Tetcher, how this one is going to go, with CE recuperating a little bit, you know, from their slump, from their slouch that they suffered from, but also TheOne looking as indomitable as ever. Haven't lost a single game this entire phase.
This is correct. The last time they played CE, they played a 2-0. They have lost maps. TheOne, in fact, on a 7-2-0s, 3-1-1s, but like you said, 0-2s against them, whereas CE, they've suffered 2-0s against them. So as such, can CE, who have just seemed to have come out of their slump, turn this round and take down the indomitable TheOne with Hugo, Muggle, Meng, Hehe, and ZJZ?
Yeah, and especially players that weren't necessarily in the limelight in the previous phases, like ZJZ or Hehe, for example. They have been showing up big time here, really catching up to the star status of players like Hugo or Meng. I think right now, it's safe to say that TheOne has no weak member. There's no weak spot at all. Even the brand new team member, Muggle, who we still don't know where he came from in the first place. He's a completely new face in HGC China. He is showing up big time, and here we see the key player, Hehe, the main warrior, busting out those exotic tanks every now and then, like that Arthas, and makes them shine like no other tank player in the league currently could.
It's cool to see. We've only seen him do one Arthas this season, but it's still his most played hero. But otherwise, he's still great on any other tank you put him on. His Garrosh has been very acceptable. His HGC, he played it once, I believe, so far, and it was also pretty good. He's just a really good tank player. His Muradin especially is played like some of the best Muradins in the league. Yeah. Very frontline heavy, very aggressive, but also with that air of safety about it.
Now, can he actually get away with all that cheeky aggressiveness when he plays against these gentlemen here? Coming in from CE, Challenge with a Lufol, deadly ranged assassin player. Wind on the tank roll, 365 the main support. KTY and Zhuyu, flexing it up here every now and then. Sometimes it's KTY still net range heroes, although for this phase specifically, he has basically been transferred over to that melee flex. And ever since then, especially now in the second half of the phase, they're looking mighty good, and Zhuyu is putting in that work.
That they are. You can see here, though, the stats don't lie. Currently, TheOne have had a much better season than CE have. CE struggling in quite a few games, whereas TheOne, KDA alone, really shows where issues have been had.
I mean, if you don't lose a single series in your current phase, then naturally your KDA is going to look mighty fine. And that's exactly here the reason why TheOne are currently looking like the strongest team in the entire region of China. And the first map that we're going to go to, Tetcher, is going to be the Cursed Hollow.
Cursed Hollow, it be. The other maps left open, Tomb of the Spider Queen, Battlefield of Eternity, Baraxis Holdout, and Volskaya Foundry. Those are the maps left open for the second game in this series, depending on who picks it. For now, TheOne giving the map choice, the first pick and first ban choice, over to CE.
Yeah, and I'm perfectly fine with that one. We have seen a lot of prioritization for Chinese teams and in the other regions as well when it comes to choosing the battleground, whereas in 2017 and 2016, it used to be almost always the first pick, first ban, bring the more desired one.
To be fair, first pick in the series, we don't actually know who got given the option of having first pick or first ban.
Exactly.
I expect it was likely a coin flip.
So now, TheOne, what are they going to come to? What are they going to bring to the table? It seems to me like Tetcher, when we cast TheOne, right, week after week, every week they seem like a different team to me. They brought a little something new to the table. They sometimes rely on Hugo on the Malthael all the time. Then he switches us back to the Sonya, which no other team in the league really plays anymore, with the exception of TheOne. He's always good for a surprise in that main tank, right? So it's really hard up to this point, I think, to predict the exact strategy, that kind of playstyle that TheOne wants to go for. And that, quite ironically, used to be their biggest weakness in 2017, right? Their predictability.
One thing we can say about them is they seem to very much like the Malfurion most of the time. This is the support that they have leaned on at least last week a fair amount. We're seeing ETC and Dahaka double globals coming in very quickly for CE, very decisively.
Wow.
Against a Decade Kane and a Diablo. So the Malfurion, seeing as it is banned out by the one, which hence this priority we were talking about, the Decade Kane coming in very early, no cleanse, immediately double CC.
Yeah, and picking the ETC over a Muradin in this point of the meta is pretty crazy, is it not? We've seen so much focus now in the ETC. He was played as a offlaner twice now. We've seen him as the main warrior earlier as well for KT and Timeless. Didn't really work out at all. Can CE actually show them how it's done properly?
Gonna have to find out. As I'm trying to remember, when was the last time that Wind played ETC?
ETC, man, he's been struggling quite a bit, hasn't he, compared to his glorious days on the earlier stages of the phase. Karazim getting banned out immediately. Looks like they do not want to face, the 7-sided strike threat. And that very much leans towards that they do not want to go for another tank in the offlane. Like, they don't want to go for Sonya, Lyric. I think this leans towards the fact that Hugo wants to go for something like a Malthael. And if you go for that playstyle, there's a much higher likelihood of Diablo getting exposed all by himself.
Very true. With this current lineup, by the way, ETC has been played 11 times with 4 it's been I can't count. It's been played 15 times with 11 wins and 4 losses. So looks like Wind has brought it out since they have had this particular roster, but if you compare it to the other tanks that they have, it's still quite low. Garrosh significantly ahead of it. Muradin also a little bit ahead.
Even Stitch is
Muradin
probably
also quite ahead of it.
Stitch is probably higher wounded for Wind as well compared to the ETC, does it not?
Win rate? No, actually. ETC 73% win rate, and it's way lower in pick rate. But the ETC, like, it's Garrosh in terms of warriors. Garrosh, Sonya, Muradin are the picks ahead of ETC. Johanna quite surprisingly low, and they're going to finish up with a Greymane and a Rhaegar.
Wow.
That could be a Bloodlust comp.
That could be a Bloodlust comp for sure. And Tetcher, this is probably the fastest draft I've ever seen from CE. So either they had a battle plan in mind that, for them, it didn't really matter what the enemy team picked because they were going to go Bloodlust anyways. Or they did their homework and they did a lot of research onto the one, right? They read them like an open book and they were like, okay, so they're going to mouth it next, so we can already prepare the Greymane and the Rhaegar Bloodlust. So when you face Bloodlust, there's 2 ways you can deal with it. First of all, you overpower them. You have so much damage available that you don't even care about them, attacking faster and generating a little bit of health there. Or you can go for a disengage and then strike back when Bloodlust has expired. Up to this point, I don't think there's a lot of disengage, with the exception of maybe the Decker Kane stay a while and listen.
There's also the option for blinds. In theory, something like Cassia could be good, and there it is. Like you said, disengage heroes like Sergeant Hammer begin to pop up and come to mind. Because that extra knockback range could be absolutely huge, but there's a lot of CC on the other team, so your siege tactics will have to be on point. Cassia does not have the luxury, though, of that self-cleanse. A Decker doesn't offer one. Once she stopped moving, that armor's gone. So I really think Cassia should take the Blinding Light, I think it's called, the one which comes out when you get CC'd.
Yeah, that's at level 4.
Yes, I think we should start seeing that because, the sustain's going to be good, but Decad's a pretty solid healer. You're never going to get the chance to CC to get your blind on someone if they literally just run through you.
Yeah, it's a hard call to make, right? Because on the one hand, as you said, you need to be resilient, right? You need to have that protection on the Cassia, but it's a real tough call to make. Like, CE had something in mind, and you could really see the battle plan behind that. Also by banning away the false set, right? False set is such an easy counter to the Bloodlust. It's a low cooldown heroic ability that puts everybody away and even slows them down at the end of it too. So basically, if you trade a Mighty Gust for a Bloodlust, you're probably going to be on the winning side every single time. And they wanted exactly that to not happen, and they ban it out as a result.
I mean, I'm going to be very surprised if this isn't a Bloodlust because there's a Malthael on the other team. And a Decker Kane. That's double anti-heal.
And you've got a Phoenix.
Going to get wrecked.
You've got a Greymane that's so much auto attack damage and dive. I'm totally down with you on this regard.
Yeah, Ancestral gets wrecked, everything's synergized with Bloodlust, unless it's the best bait and switch I've ever seen, and they don't pick the anti-healing talents because of that reason. Just like, oh, they're not going to pick Ancestral. That's the only way I could see them not going for Ancestral Healing here. But now, on the left-hand side, it is TheOne with Hugo playing Malthael, Muggle on Cassia, Meng on the Hanzo, Hihi on Diablo, and ZJZ on Deckard Cain.
Their opponents, the eternal rivals of TheOne CE, potentially unleashing the full wrath of a Bloodlust comp with a Lufo on that Phoenix, Win plays ETC, 365 on the Rhaegar, KTY on Dehaka, and Juyu. He's back on a very trusty old hero of his on the Greymane. He played it a lot to very great success actually in 2017. But since, you know, the changes for Greymane have hit and his cocktail blow is not really a thing anymore, his damage has been crippled a little bit as well. He's not the go-to pick anymore, but with certain compositions, potentially a Bloodlust here could still be a very lethal threat.
Cassia starting with the charge strikes. Very interesting. Seraph's Hymn could have also been another option if you were going super all in on that blind style, but I don't mind as long as we go for the Inner Light because there's a lot of CC. I'm going to be quite upset if that's not the talent because I don't think she's going to get value out of the Ring of Leech.
Yeah. And already we can see like this statement here already by the Cassia, level 1 charge strikes, I think is a clear message for CE. They're not afraid of actually fighting them while the Bloodlust is live, right? They want to have that AoE damage. With Bloodlust, everybody's clumped up normally. They want to hit the same target, they want to burst it down, and then this could be the moment where Charge Strikes really shines, because you're going to hit all the clumped up targets by CE. So yeah, TheOne seems to be very confident about this style, about this battle plan that CE has prepared for them.
Project Cube not landing. This is the opportunity for CE to start on Mercenaries. Mid lane not being soaked right now. We're finally going to see Phoenix heading up there, trying to get some XP versus Diablo, who is doing a pretty good job of soaking for his team.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to see the Malthael in his role in those upcoming team fights, right? As you mentioned, Tetcher, his Touch of Death at level 7 is one of the greatest counters for any Ancestor Healing play, right? He activates it in time, and then the Ancestor Healing, which got nerfed in the first place already with the latest balance update, is going to heal for even less. And cheeky tongue, by the way, by KTY, trying to get a little bit of extra damage onto Hugo. So yeah, with that being said, though, I don't even think he's going to go for that Touch of Death because a Bloodlust is so likely to be expected. So that might give him a little bit more of a combat performance boost in those actual team fights.
This is where we just find out if it's the mind games. I mean, I wouldn't mind if he just doesn't go for Touch of Death and just lets Deckard go for Emerald. I think that's just acceptable here. We see the Rhaegar going with that Mana Tide, I think it's called. Getting that extra mana regen, actually using it onto the Bruiser camp for the moment as they begin to push in for towers. Careful where you stand, Diablo could flip you.
Go. It is the Stormcaller actually level 4, but it is very similar to a Mana Tide Tone, right? It restores mana when the Lightning Shield provides damage.
Oh, monetize the Thrall talent.
Yeah, exactly. It's totem related. There we go. So TheOne's Hugo taking a little bit of poke damage. It's not easy, even for the Malthaels out there, to lane against a Phoenix. Now, Hugo needs to be careful. Oh my goodness, on a Pale Horse, the value! He can easily run away from that engage by Wind and his boys. So last second save for TheOne up to this point, but they're arriving pretty late to this tribute, aren't they?
Just in range, very almost finding the perfect gap, but he able to deny. Here comes a nice lightning javelin as well. Alufal eats half his shield, way over half his shield, and it puts the ceiling. Good damage from Muggle, focusing down Alufal, who gets taken out. The Hugo in the backline onto Zhu as well. Double kill achieved by TheOne. Nice and clean.
That was just perfect, and I'm very, very much shocked by the aggressive positioning by especially Alufal on that Phoenix, right? You will have to expect that Deckard Cain CC to come through, so you want to keep your safe distance from those heroes, because once you're caught against the Diablo, he has 2 abilities to actually prevent you from teleporting out of danger. So a little bit of a positional mistake by CE, and TheOne, as you said, Tetra, they punished that one so hard.
We do, in fact, see the Touch of Death coming in from the Malthael and the Emerald. Double anti-heal. And Cassia went with the Ring of the Leech. It's risky. It's risky. I'm not sure I like it, but I am very prepared to be proved wrong. Also wrecked. Arsenal synergy value. I love this talent.
Yeah, so strong. Of course, paired with a level 7, you deal more damage onto the slow targets of your laser. You're going to be in a good spot for now. Beautifully done. But, you know, Greymane escapes. So Alufal got his little revenge there against Muggle on the Hanzo. So it's now a 2-for-1 in terms of kills. But this is a very good position for CE. Very safe one. If they posture up like they're doing right now, ETC scouting out the party bush and zoning out enemy team members, then there's almost nothing that TheOne can do in order to stall it. I don't think they even want to try it. Look at that. Malthael does not move away from the bottom lane. They're definitely going to send in someone here to check the perimeter, though, just to be safe.
Yeah, the Hacker is also staying bot lane for the moment. They're going to try the patient play. Wind, nice interrupt by Muggle here, at least for the moment. That's number 1. Phoenix not rotating down either. This is a delay play by CE for the moment. They likely really do want this, but they're trying to delay it. They want to see if they can get 9 because they were a little bit behind in XP, and they probably will be able to get it as Meng.
No, that landed, right? I think it landed.
Still trying. He's still going. Oh, Scholar Ceiling gets it as well, right on the little corner. KTY though. Oh, the Haga has been forced. That's going to allow Malthael to push up. Another denial. Cubes and triangles for days. Is there another Q?
Oh my god.
They've been doing this for so long, and the longer this goes, the better it is for Malthael. So CE instead, they pull the switch. They're going to move in, look for kills. They get at least one, taking down the Hanzo, but the anti-healing is insane as Greymane goes down 2, 1-for-1.
And if you tried 1-for-1, it all comes down to how healthy the remaining team members are. It looks like TheOne have higher HP bars. They're trying to go for a Lufal here. I'm not sure if he still has the teleport or not. Still zoning, and I think ZJZ might actually get it. I'm not sure if Dahaka's tongue is going to be long enough. Oh, Wind
comes around from the side. Wind gets away from Hehe with that power slide, and this tribute is going over to TheOne as level 10 going to be hit for both teams. TheOne, it's not much, but it is a lead that they're beginning to eke out here. Those 2 tributes, though, that's where all the value lies, and that's where all the potential XP lies.
And you could really see how they were focusing down on the Hanzo, right? And that's a great pick for CE, don't get me wrong. It's a wonderful pick. Denies a lot of the damage coming in from TheOne, but then you completely forgot about the Malthael. And the moment you forget about Hugo, you're going to regret your life decision here because he is still one of the league's most lethal players. Now, look at that boss attempt with Hanzo and the PvE build on the scattering shot. They can definitely take this without breaking much of a sweat here. Simple geometry also fulfilled already for extra damage. And this is going to be a nice distraction in the bottom lane for TheOne. They aren't even starting their own boss.
Even start there. They either didn't realize or didn't think they had the time. Instead, they're going to try and posture and use their level 10 to win a team fight. Dahaka, is he tunneling bot? No, he's porting.
Okay. So it looks like Malthael is going to be too late to the party, but he's riding on a pale horse. So after he cleans up the middle a little bit... Oh man, he's in such a rough spot.
One-man defend. They can't afford to give this up. Dahaka might just have to let the boss push and tunnel in here. This boss was such a clutch call for CE. Just bullet doesn't land, actually. Dahaka coming in from behind. CE moving forward. Bloodlust really only 3 members. Planet Cracker. Down goes Decade. Kane. Here comes the lightning before the turnaround, but KTY is doing huge damage. Getting that cooldown reduction on his thumb, but Tormented Souls. Hugo takes 1. Looks for a second. A loophole teleport scatter arrow does not. Well, 1 shot lands. KTY escapes. Rhaegar gets away, but that is a curse. The boss is still alive. TheOne taking a second boss. And CE, they tried to make the play, but TheOne, it's all coming up for them.
And this is basically the name of the game right now. Not only did they get the curse when they really wanted to, but yet again, they sacrificed someone. In that case, it was ZJZ on that Decker Kane, only to make Hugo and Muggle shine like diamonds. And that's exactly what they did in that team fight. The Tormented Soul. We said it many times, you know, a lot of teams, they always go for last rites. It's so good. But in those team fights where everybody clumps up, China loves it. And they really have a lot of fun, and they have a good time in general. Did you have a mini lag?
Nope.
Okay, then we're going to resync.
Okay, I am on 6.2.
5.9, there we go. Nailed it.
That'll do. Everyone is ported back except for Dahaka right now for this defense. In comes Geometry. The Dragon Arrow goes completely off down to the south. and a new baby dragon is born. As Alufal continues to fire these shots, the
this
keep
game?
goes down. Boss
Phoenix
is
dies this
healthy.
game?
The Huck is needed. Good teleport. Phoenix survives. Firecracker in 6 seconds. They can try and use this for at least a little bit of boss clear. Good drag onto Cassia. Bloodlust for the attempt to save the game. Muggle is tanking through with that bringing the lead. In comes the Purification. In comes the Firecracker, but it's only zoning. It's not going to get off. It's not even hitting the boss here. As Alufal gets targeted, he teleports to the base and stays alive. The sleep to zone them away from the boss so it can begin burning down the core. In comes Win for the delay play, trying to buy his team that time. Moshpit is off cooldown. Win needs to do something. This boss is getting taken down. Meg over the core. The Moshpit's good, but it's not enough. And the One take game number 1.
Wow, Muggle on that Cassia, he was barely able to move Tetra. He was stunned and rooted multiple times in a row, and I was really worried for his survival there. If they kill the Cassia with all the resources, all the cooldowns they invested in that kill, it might be a secure hold, but guess what? Ring of the Leech and Ball of Lightning. That was exactly what they needed to keep him alive, on top of the Deckard Cain healing potions, of course. It was just such a clutch survival. Well played by the One.
Remember when I said I was ready to be proved wrong about the about the Ring of the Leech? Yeah, turns out that was really good value there. That allowed him to stay alive. Firecracker slightly off center, didn't hit the boss, and as such, that could have been at least a little bit of extra clear. Yeah, it was a zoning tool, but it wasn't on Cassia, and it wasn't on the boss. It was just slightly off center. It's a hard ability to aim because it's so thin. But if you're going to prioritize something, at least make sure you are at least hitting the boss so that you are burning that down and you can try and protect your core a little easier because the boss goes down quicker.
And Tetra, no other ranged assassin could have lived through that focus. Cassia, not only proving to be a golden pick here because of her blinds and because of the damage she delivers, but also because of the resilience of her trait, right? Of the 40 physical armor that she gains upon moving. It was just a bliss, a pleasure to see. And although CE, they came into this game so confidently, like their draft was boom, boom, bang, boom, boom. They didn't even hesitate. They had a plan. They wanted to execute it. Unfortunately, the One, they were too well prepared for it. And yet again, as much as we like our beefy cow, man, it just doesn't seem to work out today. The ETC still looking for all that success.
He's still searching. Maybe one day he will find it. I mean, SPT, they have